Hey, babe, you want to hear about my night at which is a night out market?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. It was amazing. There were so many people there. First, it
Mm-hmm.
was totally impossible to park. I can only get there by getting lost. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. I did the same thing. I drive like around and around and around, and then I'm on Smith Street, and then I'm like, oh, I have to drive down the hill. So
Mm-hmm.
I can only get there ass backwards. Um, but it was so cool. I saw so many people. It was really beautiful. Um, Laura Tempest looked like extra pretty. I- Is that even a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I saw some of her new paintings. I saw some paintings I'd never seen before. It was really cool. And then I saw, oh, Vicky, um, I bought this tiny little deck. It's called Divine Doors. It's a rock pool deck, so the cardstock's really, really nice. And they're like little oracles, but they're tiny doorways. They're like the cutest little things. The little doorways, and they have little messages on them like morning memory. Its healing gift runs a destined course, the morning dawn, our inspired source. And then it says meditate under the sun.
Uh-huh.
So they're super cute. This one's this one's from Cambodia. Um, this one is from India. There's one from Chartres, and there's one that's like, oh, this is totally the Glastonbury tour.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so cool to like recognize. Oh, Manchu Picchu's in here. This one's super pretty. I think it's about grief.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that, and it wasn't expensive. It's just, I know. Does Vika like them? Does Vika like the cards? Yeah. And then I saw the Veiled Crow, and I got this amazing scent. They just came out with it. Yeah, I'm like, Tracy, when did you release this? She goes, today. So it's Persephone. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It just keeps going and staircasing and takes you into these like low cinnamon and notes, but then back up with some gorgeous high florals. It's just awesome. I've been wearing it since I bought it, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
super happy about that. And then, oh, there was this really cool Laura Tempest puts out these little rituals when you go in the front door. So there's a big cauldron and pens, and for Persephone, because Persephone is the goddess of love and the underworld as well. She's really great for expressing grief about
Mm-hmm.
people that you've lost and loved. So you write a little petition on with a pen and a little index card and huck it into the cauldron, and then she gives you a tiny candy to take to remember the sweetness of the memories as well.
Mm.
So I know it's super cool. It's really neat to be able to like do a tiny little ritual there. And then what else? So we talked about Laura Tempest. We talked about the Veiled Crow. I got my little deck of doorways from the Robin's Nest, and they had tons and tons of magical stuff. They were definitely all set up. Um, and I also saw this amazing photographer. Actually, I think you know that image. It's the one that's from the Providence Superman building where it's all done up in green.
Oh,
So,
flower. What's his name?
his name, Filmmaker Dave. It's going under
Uh-huh.
filmmakerdave.com.
Mm-hmm.
So Dave was there with like all these beautiful framed shots, gorgeous, like just amazing, beautiful photography. And then he had his laptop open and he was going through like drone shots. And I walked in, it's the first thing I saw, and of course I'm standing there crying because he's flying over like the Superman building, and he's flying over Slater Mill and the waterfall, and just all of these places that touch my heart from living in Rhode Island or being Rhode Island witch, but from such a different perspective because it's all drone shots, you know? It's all these like I don't know, really interesting angles. Thanks for joining us, Vicky. Oh, and then this was the coolest thing. There was somebody there from the North Burial Ground. It's the North Main. It's that huge cemetery. It's in North Main in Providence, up on the east side, that we've been tromping in forever. This is an excellent item. It has a full map, because we've only really like gone on the peripheries, honestly. So mini tours that you can take, and like a whole thing about Sarah Whitman, a whole thing about Sam Whipple, and the Comstock brothers. Captain Hull is in this. Then there's a little scavenger hunt thing that you can do, which is, you know, social media, but kind of fun. But then this part, this is awesome. These are the actual symbols from the headstones that are in the graveyard, and, you know, what they meant at the time. This is a double-page gloss info. They break down the difference between the willow and the urn imagery and just the willow, or just the urn. So this is just like, oh, hands, the hands pointing up, right? We see a lot. Pointing up. Ascension into heaven. If the hands are pointing up and holding flowers, it's the fragility of life and grief, like hanging onto those thorns. Hand that's clasped, leaving loved ones behind, and often depicted on the grave of spouses. So that's just, awesome. And the director of the graveyard, who was there and kindly handed this to me, also had an actual gravestone. It was one they were doing restorations, and the bottom was so busted up they weren't able to rebury it. So they have it on display. 1806. Her name's Harriet Voax, and she has an urn with a willow behind it, and it's done in slate, but the top of it is so small, and then it sort of like scrolls out, that it's not wide enough to show like that whole round depiction of the urn. So the urn's there, and it's just the stem of the willow, and the branches that come down to depict grief are like tucked behind the urn. And there are like all these different scripts on it, so it's very 1806, where the word sacred is all scrolly and italic, but her name is done in like up and down serifs, and, you know, up and down writing with serifs. Oh God, it was just, it was fantastic. I had a great time. I saw friends. I saw a friend from Zoom. She walks by, and I go, Michelle? And she goes, Julie? And we give a big hug, and I said it was hard to recognize you. You usually look flatter and further away. I was trying to like put a box around your face to make sure it was you. But, yep. Saw friends, had joy. It was really quite lovely. It was very tiring, and the ride home was treacherous. I'm taking a broom next time. But that was it, and I have these beautiful items that I got, some excellent imagery, and you know, websites to look at, and strap on your boots, babe, because we are tromping around North Burial. Alrighty? So I do want to say, you know, a shout out to Witches Night Market, and thank you for joining me. It's been a Tarot Haul with Jay. See you next time.